Hello and welcome to another episode of Journey with Us. I'm Jason Abraham. Today we will look again at chapter 3 of Genesis from verses 8 to 13. And if I was to title this episode, I would title it as Sin, the New Reality. Let me read these verses for you. And they heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of the Lord among the trees of the garden. But the Lord God called to the man and said to him, "Where are you?" And he said, "I heard the sound of you in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself." He said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave to me to be with me, she gave me the fruit of the tree, and I ate." Then the Lord God said to the woman, "What is it that you have done?" The woman said, "The serpent deceived me, and I ate." As Gerard von Rad writes again in his commentary, the deed becomes sin through the encounter of humans with God. This episode may be a bit long, but I want you to listen very carefully. I want you to understand what sin is. Sin is a new reality in the lives of humans, in the life of yourself and me. Of failure to understand sin and its impact on us will lead us to wrong conclusions about the way the world is or the way we are. A right understanding of what sin is critical to understanding ourselves, others, society, and the world we live in. So please bear with me as we go through this topic of sin. Let's start with the results or the consequence of sin, and then we will talk about sin. So the first thing we see here is that sin divides people. Verse 11 says, God said, "Who told you that you were naked? Have you eaten of the tree of which I commanded you not to eat?" The man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit of the tree, and I ate." Interesting, isn't it? Man now has turned against the woman, whom he, in the previous chapter, has exclaimed with joy that she is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Now she is to be blamed. Actually, no. God is to be blamed. The woman you gave. The man would be asking God in his mind, "Did I ask for one? No. It was your idea, God, and now you see what happened?" Man is accusing God for his actions and the circumstances that he finds himself in. Isn't it interesting? Nothing much has changed. Even today, when we find ourselves in a mess, a tragedy, the immediate question is, where is this good God? How could he let this happen? And the list goes on. But when things are going well, we do not care if God existed or not. The fact of the matter is, we need someone to blame for our own actions and its consequences. As if it is not bad enough, man blames the woman, and the woman blames the serpent. Neither man nor the woman will take any responsibility for what they did. They play the victim card, and the game continues even today. Everyone is a victim and no one is responsible. We find an excuse to blame the other for evil actions and the resulting miseries. So the first thing that we can talk about the consequence of sin is, sin has not only broken our relationship with God, that's a spiritual problem, it has also ruptured our relationship with one another as we saw it. It's a sociological problem. It's a problem of the society that we live in. Verse 16, to the woman he said, "I will surely multiply pain in childbearing. In pain you shall bring forth children. And listen to this very carefully. Your desire shall be for your husband, but he shall rule over you. Do you see where the battle of the sexes come in? There is a desire on the part of the woman to be with the man, because that's how God made it to be. And what sin has done is, now man, but at the same time there is a desire to dominate. And man, on the other hand, is in opposition to that. There is a clue to see the battle between the sexes. The third thing that the consequence of sin is, it has also put a break between us and the animal world and the earth we live on, the ecological problem. What do we see in verse 15? I'll put enmity between you and the woman, between your offspring and her offspring. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your wife and have eaten of the tree of which I commanded you, you shall not eat of it. Cursed is the ground. Listen to this very carefully. Cursed is the ground because of you. In pain you shall eat of it all the days of your life. Thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for you, and you shall eat the plant of the fields. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread. Look at that break between the earth and man, between the animals and humankind. It has also made us strangers to our own selves. We deceive others and we are strangers to our own selves as to our true state of affairs. We not only deceive others, but we also deceive ourselves, the psychological problem. So we saw the consequence of sin in our broken relationship with our Creator God. We saw in our broken relationship with one another the sociological problem. We also saw the consequence of sin in our ecological problem. And now we also see the psychological problem, that we have become strangers not only to God and to others and to the earth that we live on, but we have also become strangers to our own selves. In every area of life and living, sin has tainted and corrupted us. But the question that we need to ask is, what is sin? So we saw, in violating the trust and goodness of God, a new reality comes into play, which we call as sin. And as I mentioned, sin is an integral part of our current existence. There is no escaping it. We are born in sin. Sin has become our master. It is the root cause of all evil, suffering, and death. Sin primarily, I want you to listen to this very carefully, is a principle that works in us, creating a frame of mind that is opposed to God and all that He stands for. We see the power of sin in our inability to meet God's standards for life and living, resulting in our failure to live right with God and our neighbors. As we saw, sin breaks relationship and creates strangers and enemies. Its nature is to dominate and oppress the others. We saw that in the relationship between man and woman as a result of the fall. Sin has not only broken and alienated us from God, but it has also turned us against our fellow humans. The earth, as we saw, too has become estranged. And our stewardship of the earth is marked today by exploitation and degradation of this earth that God created for us. Sin has also made us strangers to our own selves, as we saw it. Our breach of trust with our Creator has resulted in all of God's creation to become subject to the effect of human sin, our sin. Sin has infected and polluted every part of us: intellect, conscience, will, heart, and our very being. Sin has catastrophically deluded us to think that all is well, as it offers us its fleeting pleasures, which hardens and deceives our hearts to the grim reality that awaits. The Bible calls hell, a place of eternal torment, living with a vivid sense of loss and separation from God and everything that makes life meaningful and good. This the Bible calls as a second death. Rebels and enemies under God's wrath, destined to death, enslaved to sin under its paralyzing effect in our current state. We are cruising recklessly towards our own destruction, unable to rescue ourselves from the fatal grip that sin has on our lives. We are hopelessly lost and unable to do anything to remedy our situation. That is the tragedy of our lives. That is what sin has done to us. That sin principle, which creates within us a frame of mind opposed to God and all that He stands for. It is not just opposed to God, it is opposed to one another. It is opposed to this good earth that God created. And it is even opposed and made us strangers to our own selves. But the good news is Jesus Christ, who has not only conquered sin and its consequence, death, which we will see in our next episode. Ask us about how to escape from the slave market of sin. Come to Jesus and experience the freedom that God alone can provide. So till the next time, God bless and thank you once again for listening in. If you have liked this episode, share and subscribe to this channel. God bless and have a great day.